Morris, and what I'm going to do today is give a short introduction to Chapter 11 of the Debates in Charity Law edited collection, recently published and edited by my colleagues here in the Charity Law and Policy Unit at the University of Liverpool. The book is called Debates in Charity Law, and it is edited by John Picton and Jennifer Zigerfus. My chapter is chapter 11 of the book, and it has the title Commissioning of Services by Charities in the Third Decade of the Contract Culture. Lessons learned or not yet. Now, the subject matter of this chapter goes back to previous research interests of mine around the funding of charities when they provide services for the public service provision, and the shift. I have interests in the shift in the funding structure for charities from grants to contracts, called the contract culture, and I've looked over the years at the particular legal problems that this has generated for charities, this shift from grants to contracts. And what I do in this chapter is revisit that old research, but also bring it much more up to date by looking at particular kinds of contracts which have become common more recently, and they are specifically contracts which have payments by results clauses in them. And in particular, the use of social impact bonds. Both these concepts have become quite commonplace, both in the UK, but also across the world. And in the chapter itself, I draw on research literature from other countries as well. The key question for debate, which is basically the same as the fundamental question around the impact of the contract culture on charities, is whether these specific funding mechanisms are an effective means by which charities can deliver public services. What I do in the chapter is look at the particular problems that these funding mechanisms generate for charities due to the legal restrictions under which they operate. And I also look at the potential solutions that have been found for charities. In the chapter, I argue that a number of these potentially alleviating measures which have been developed to support charities do not in fact resolve the difficulties that charities encounter. And I conclude that as a result of these difficulties, unfortunately, many charities may not be able to participate in the provision of the services which they may well be best placed to provide within a local community, for example. And this is particularly an issue for smaller charities, local organisations. So unfortunately, until some of the problems that the contract culture and the particular types of contracts which are now being used, until these problems are resolved for charities, they find that they are quite often excluded from the market entirely. So coming back to the title, whilst we're in the third decade of the contract culture, many of the lessons that have been experienced by charities over the years in dealing with this new funding environment, unfortunately, those lessons have not yet been learned. So that's just a small taster of the chapter. I hope you go and read the chapter in the book. So thank you.